hello. Welcome to Healthy Perspectives, a podcast that takes on current cultural and social issues through a clinical lens. Hello, hello. All right. Welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us again. For those of you who are brand new, we appreciate your time. We know it's valuable. And today, it's a heavy conversation. It can't be avoided, nor would I avoid it anyway. I have put it off for a few days. There are times for me in my life where I prioritize things a little bit differently. I am not so concerned with being first on days like this, on weeks like this. And that's just the way it is. I mean, you don't have to like it. You don't have to do it. You can hurry up to be first and you can get all kinds of bad information out there publicly. And maybe you'll get pieces that are right and you'll be able to say, see, I knew that. I'm not interested in being right in that way. I am interested in showing up in a good, healthy way and helping others to move in their world in a good, healthy direction. There's obviously on September the 10th, we had a pretty significant cultural blow in the United States when Charlie Kirk was assassinated. He was murdered in front of hundreds, if not thousands, of college students. Future trauma coming our way. There's apparently, it sounds like his wife, daughter were maybe present at the time. So more trauma, and as a therapist, I'm thinking, wow, could we hurt people anymore? And the truth is, that makes it a really hard situation because I know firsthand the years, sometimes decades of challenges that come with these kinds of events. I know because I work with them. I have people who come to see me. This week, I had people come to see me. Many were in tears, trying to understand why, trying to wrestle with, was it a political persecution? Was it a religious persecution? Was it, people are saying he's a fascist. Was he actually a fascist? And like wrestling with these ideas, these things. And it's a lot for people to deal with, frankly. Your tip of the day is going to give you some hint at what is coming your way today. It's probably going to feel a little bit different, look a little bit different. When evil shows up, take note. That's the tip of the day. Now, most of you know me, and you know that I typically frame things from healthy to unhealthy because at Healthy Perspectives, my goal is to help people progress, make progress. Unfortunately, in situations like this, we've taken huge steps in the wrong direction. And we do have to occasionally say, wait a minute, I know my scale is healthy to unhealthy, but let's make sure we are abundantly clear on topics like this, that there is the scale of righteous to evil. Now, righteous, you're all like, whoa, big language, right? Powerful language. It's true. It's true. It often is affiliated with religious beliefs. And at the end of the day, there is a reality that needs to be addressed. And that one of those things is there are people who are moving in the direction of being purified to some degree, being sanctified, being justified. So there's uh, uh, in a lot of religious worlds, you hear these justification, sanctification to glorification. I am not talking about righteousness in terms of glorification. That is not it. Sanctification, that process makes people who are imperfect fall into the scale of righteous, not because they get it all right, but because they're transforming into a better version day after day after day. That transformation in the Christian world is said to be moved by the Holy Spirit. That was a little sidebar, but at the end of the day, I want you to take this away. There is a scale of righteous to evil. Now, I can't always, because I am not a seer in that way. I can't always tell you that a person is righteous. But I'll tell you something. And this is probably going to come to as no surprise to most of you. I can tell you when somebody is evil. I should clarify a little bit. When somebody is evil or naive. Sometimes naive can look like evil. And so I'll caution myself there and say, be careful. It's not my judgment to pass. That being said, if I can tell it falls between naive and evil, somewhere in that zone, then absolutely we should take note. When evil shows up, we should take note. And when it's naivete and it looks like it's evil, then cautiously proceed as though it might be evil, because evil works in three different ways: lies, secrets, and deceptions. And when we get to the deceptions piece, folks, it's sometimes a little bit hard to tell. That's why it's called deception. They dress up the pig, they try to make it look real good. But if you're paying attention, you'll eventually be able to tell it's a pig. So lies, secrets, and deceptions. Those are absolute signs of evil. People who promote lies, secrets, and deceptions are either naive or evil. What does righteousness look like then? Truth, not your truth, not my truth, not what we want to hear, but truth. Transparency. That means where I have flaws, you should see them. I don't try to hide them. In this podcast, I have set that example many times where I made mistakes. I maybe didn't say the right thing and I had to correct it mid-sentence. Well, hold on. And I go back and I make the correction. It's transparent. I'm not trying to look perfect, because that would be deceptive, because I'm not. And the third one is authenticity. Be real. If you're hurt, say you're hurt. If you're sad, say you're sad. If you're feeling a little wild and crazy, feel a little wild and crazy. It's okay to have those experiences and to live them out in ways that are healthy. Many people came to me this week. There's a few points I want to hit while we're talking today. Now, many people came to me this week. And they're trying to figure out the grief process, because this is a unique grieving process we've got going on here. Like, we were on the fence of a grief process when Trump was nearly assassinated, but because he survived, we didn't grieve. There have been other assassinations just this year. There have been mass shootings this year. And I'm not going to get into the gun thing. You can look at my other podcasts. I get into that plenty. in these situations where people die, where their lives are taken by other people, how do we grieve that at a community level? Because this is a person who millions and millions of people around the world have spoken with and heard. They have heard him and they have spoken with him, because that's what he did. At 31 years old, he's probably talked to over millions of people in different capacities. Many of those were face-to-face, in-person interactions. So it's very personal and very community oriented. And the question is, how do we grieve that? Well, let's break it down. How does a righteous person grieve? Somebody who is transforming and trying to be a better version of themselves. A righteous person will clearly acknowledge the hurt and the loss, even if it's somebody they didn't agree with or like very much. A righteous person will feel the pain of that loss. I put it in this framework. Being in the military, when I was very young, I had to address and wrestle with the idea of loss very early on. I was 17 years old when I went into the Marine Corps. And early on, I had to ask myself, well, what if I have to kill somebody? And for me, I convinced myself that if one of the two of us has to die, I don't want it to be me. Now, some might say that's selfish. True. Might be. How is my life more valuable than theirs? It's a good question. It's one in situations like that we would wrestle with all the time. But here's the reason why I settled on I don't want it to be me. Because I would carry the hurt of the world creating a situation where one of us had to die. In other words, I would respect that loss of life, even though I may have to take that life. Now that's kind of a weird way of looking at it, but let's be real. I would rather people be on the front line who respect life, even if it's the enemy, because that's a righteous approach, a way of saying, I'm not going to let one life go to waste. I'm not going to take one more life than I absolutely have to. And that's it. That's simple. And it's only because it's me or them. That's it. So there is a righteous way of grieving. Feel the experience fully, even if it's somebody that is the enemy or you don't like or whatnot. There's an evil way of grieving. You justify the loss for selfish narratives. You justify it. You say, you may start off with a justification like, well, it was either me or them. And then you start piling on. Remember, secrets, lies, deceptions. You start piling on to those justifications with, well, I mean, really, they are the enemy. That whole group of people, that political entity, that military force, and we start to generalize and justify in ways that may or may not be real. And in doing that, we lose a respect for the life that we took. There is an evil way of grieving. You solidify the narrative that you have selfishly navigated for however long you've navigated it. I'll tell you what, I've seen evil people trying to grieve the loss. They celebrate. They say things like, A fascist, racist bigot is dead. Yay. Your tip of the day: when evil shows up, take note. And when things like this occur, it is really easy to see the bad guys. You can see evil real clearly right now. I'm not saying do a lot about it today. Matter of fact, when you're in the middle of grief, it's not usually the best time to do a lot about it. It's a good time to take notes, to learn, why does this hurt me so much? Why does this hurt those people so much? Why does this, that curiosity will move you toward righteous grief instead of evil grief. Some people have moved right into the justification process, and you can just tell they're either evil, naive, or both. Let's take a quick sidebar on this whole grief process. The purpose of grief is to remember. It's not to forget. I've had many people this week ask me, like, what should we do? And my response right now is remember. Identify evil and naivete and remember Charlie Kirk. He stood for some things that were good and healthy, that our culture, our community, our country needs to pay attention to, whether you agree with him or not on those things. He brought attention to things that should have attention. The purpose of grief is to remember. If it's evil or an enemy, we should be sad that the world has manifest this evil. Remember the evil that was manifest. That somebody would take a gun to an event and literally traumatize hundreds, if not thousands, of people. That's evil. Very clear and easy to see. That's evil. Don't forget that. That there are forces in this world and people in this world who are capable of that kind of evil. I'm not telling you that because I want you to remain afraid. I just don't want you to forget that that kind of evil exists. When Jesus was in the desert, evil was there, but he didn't forget. He prepared before that. He knew before that evil could come at any time. Don't forget. Remember that evil exists when it's an enemy. Doesn't mean you have to do a whole lot. Sometimes you do, but it doesn't always mean that. If it's a loved one, if it's a righteous person, somebody who was on a trajectory to being a better human being on a daily basis, who was striving for something bigger and better, we should feel a sadness oftentimes because we no longer have access to them. We see the good that they were creating and we don't have access to it. Remember the person. Remember the things they were trying to accomplish. The good. Doesn't mean forget all the stuff that they messed up. You should remember their mistakes too, so that you don't create those. But remember the good and emulate it. That is the best thing you can do when grieving the loss of a righteous person. Remember the good they did and emulate it. So let's put that in perspective for you, folks. What does that mean? What does that mean you should be doing? Does everybody need to set up a booth at a college and create debates Some of you aren't made for that. Don't do that. But going silent is in this situation with Charlie Kirk. That's not a way of remembering Charlie Kirk. Emulate the good that he brought to the world. And if you don't like him, then don't emulate it. Pretty simple. Be quiet. Go be silent somewhere, hibernate, go introverted and do reading and research and be curious. Pay attention to the world around you, though, because there's a lot of people hurting. And if you're too busy creating a narrative or hiding from the narrative that this kind of act is evil, then you unfortunately are putting yourself on a fringe where you're more likely to become one of those people. This whole idea of communal grief, like there's vigils, there's all kinds of things going on. There's people putting out podcasts like this. This would be a form of processing. So maybe you put out a clip, or maybe you write something. I know writers who have written little blurbs about how anybody celebrating this kind of loss is terrible, and you should take note. We shouldn't be celebrating this kind of behavior, this kind of result. How do we honor people who died? That came up this week. Remember the good they did, emulate it. Remember the challenges that they had along their journey, and change those. Don't repeat the things they did wrong. Take what they did and build on it. Do better. That's it. That's as simple as it gets right there. There's one other point or question really that's been posed to me several times this week. It's this whole social media thing. And I want to hit that directly because in this grieving process, we're getting a lot of weird stuff on social media. Matter of fact, I know people who, from everything on the spectrum, from they've gotten off social media and deleted their accounts completely, to I can't believe we saw this in slow motion up close, to all these different things that have come up. Here's what I'll tell you. This is my social media take for the day. And it's going to lead to the one request I have for all of you to make our world healthier. Just one request. Okay? It is, social media is a hotbed for evil, plain and simple. It's very easy to go on there and find evil all over the place. Because it's very easy to lie, keep secrets, and be deceptive. It's just simple. So first and foremost, if you're on social media, verify. Stop spewing hatred before you even know. I get this a lot on my social media feeds where people are spewing hatred and they don't even know the facts, the truth, which means it falls into that realm of lies, secrets, and deceptions. And I try to gently, most of the time I'm pretty gentle, sometimes not as gentle as I probably should be if I'm being honest. But I try to gently give them truth and see if they'll take it. But truth is a hard pill to swallow in the face of evil. Evil wants to like slither around it, come up with another reason as to why the truth doesn't matter. So hit it with truth. And as much as you can handle, be gentle with it. Because evil will absolutely go to battle with you. And when it turns into a battle, here's part 2. That's when you stop engaging. Stop engaging. Silence is your sword. It is your weapon. It is the weapon of choice when you encounter evil. So one of the things that I've been doing, just for simplicity's purpose, on my posts, I am going in there and when I see evil, or naivete. I am highlighting it so that all my couple thousand followers can see that that is evil. And in doing so, my hope is not to necessarily banish or alienate, as I've been saying, banish them with silence. That's not my ultimate goal. But it is the weapon that works on social media. Because if they're in there just trying to get clicks, but they are a good person, and you silence them, not by banning them, I hate that, but by silence in response, ignoring their evil or naive posts, not giving them the attention, then they have to adjust course, not us, people who are trying to live better and better every day. We don't, like, if we joined them in it, then we promote this fantasy in their world that their lies, secrets, and deceptions are gaining them power. So get quiet. When you encounter evil, take note, get quiet. Because trust me, there's plenty of other things in there. There are plenty of naive posts where you can engage and get interaction that is not evil, just uninformed. Find those, engage in those, make a difference that way. That's my take on social media. My request from you is, as you encounter evil, don't turn evil. Don't match evil with evil. Don't match gun for gun or knife for knife or sword for sword. Evil words for evil words. That is completely dishonoring in a situation like this where Charlie Kirk lost his life. That's a way of dishonoring his life. He talked about Christ, family. He talked about nonviolent debate. Do those things, and you will honor him. And if you can't do those things, then go quiet when you encounter evil or naivete. You can always test the naivete because they won't fight back when you give them truth. They won't lash out. If they start to lash out, don't let your emotions get the better of you. Just stop engaging. I think it's very interesting in my world. I can tell when evil is present because I will literally stop responding to them, and then they will come back and they will say, "Oh, you can't come up with anything. Oh, you and they will try to egg you into it. You just don't re-engage. Evil doesn't deserve your time, energy, and resources. Naivete does. So you got to tease out the difference. But evil does not. They do not deserve your time, energy, and resources. To close this up, I do want to tell you, go back and listen to my previous podcast, just the very last one. I hit a lot on the topic of the shootings and stuff like that. This one, it fits too. Go in there, listen. There's truth in there for you. I'm trying to help people be healthier. Of course, also please share with anybody and everybody that might benefit from this message. My little rabbit trails today. I'm actually not positive how this is going to come across. So give me feedback. I'm always open to your feedback. If you tell me that I should die and stuff like that, I'm going to ignore you. So don't waste your time. But if you have legitimate feedback, give it to me. And happy to to hear how this came across, because I'm gonna be honest, there's a lot, even for me, there's a fair amount of emotion wrapped up in this, because so many people around me are hurting, and it was completely unnecessary. Did not have to happen. It came because the face of evil poked up, did something. So take note. Thank you for joining us. I hope this is helpful. Have a wonderful day. Hey, everybody. Thanks for listening. We appreciate our audience a lot, so we give you some simple ways to track us down. Please like, subscribe, and follow all the podcasts on different platforms, but you can also email us at healthyperspectives@protonmail.com, or you can check out our website at healthy-perspectives.com/podcast. It's a backward slash. So if you want to go to our landing page, if you go to healthy-perspectives.com, you'll still find us. You just got to click on the podcast button. Thank you so much.